Welcome back to another episode of WCP. The gang's back together again. We got a lot to talk about. It's been a little bit since we've met up, but I'm glad to see the both of you. New York City is hot.
Yeah, it is.
The block is super hot.
I see you guys got your specs on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Spec.
mine by no choice, though.
Both red. Interesting choice. Allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Perry.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Rashawn.
We make up the Wrist Check podcast. As is tradition, before we get into things, we have to have our honorary wrist check. I see some new watches.
Yeah.
That excites me.
Yes.
As is tradition, Rashawn, please kick us off.
So this edition of our wrist check definitely was for all hype purposes.
Okay.
We will get into the meat and the potatoes of why I chose this watch, but I had to choose the OG F1 tag.
Respect.
You know, smaller case, the classic Jubilee bracelet.
I think it's what, a 35 millimeter?
Yeah, about 35, 34. Pretty small, but it works. This watch is actually one that I've been on the hunt for a while. Ben had acquired one at one point as well.
Same as yours, just with the cream, though.
Yes.
Mm.
This watch is very special, as they all are. Perry, we had spoke off camera about, you know, the significance of Tag Heuer, especially coming up in the 80s and the 90s. If you didn't have a Rolex, like, you wore a tag.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I felt it was very, very appropriate to wear this tonight, and, you know, I'm happy to share my 2 cents on
Sure, yeah, we'll get to that.
on a few things.
I'll go next because Ben's watch looks really interesting, and I'm curious about the story there. I have a new watch as well. I have the Seiko Presage no, I'm butchering the name.
It's okay.
The founder of Seiko. This is a reproduction. It is their 100th anniversary piece of putting the name on the dial. The story with this one, which is kind of interesting, is so the second watch they ever produced, wristwatch they ever produced, this was the watch that they reintroduced the brand with after the earthquake that they had that destroyed the original factory.
Mm.
So once they rebuilt, they went back, and this is what they actually produced. This was released in January. I heard about it in November. We've spoken about it for some time on the show and in various other episodes. I reached out to our friend, Derek Mon. Shout out to him and Karen Co. in Queens.
The Minute Mon.
And he was able to help me acquire this. I'm a big fan. The case size is roughly a 35.45 millimeter case in width. It's like a perfect circle. It's a little bit on the thicker side. I think it's somewhere around 12.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful enamel dial, printed Breguet numerals. You got a 24-hour indicator at 6 o'clock. These nice, like, blue colored hands. Bunch strap is kind of sick. I'm a fan of it. Feels like very Japanese, feels vintage.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful aesthetic. One of the pieces that I look at on my wrist and I smile. I'm very, very happy with this acquisition.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Ben, what do you got on?
So I'm wearing an interesting watch.
It is very interesting, actually.
It is a Minecraft creeper watch.
Okay.
That shout out to Schwartz and his 4-year-old son who got this for me.
Nice.
Wow.
So his son and I have matching Minecraft watches.
How do you tell time on this thing?
Just press it and it lights up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's kind of sick. If you press it again while the time is on, it swaps to the seconds, and you press it again, it swaps to the days. So it's pretty interesting.
That's funny.
He was gonna get me a, I forget what the dude's called from the Nether. I think his name's actually just like the Nether Man. He's like the big baddie in Minecraft.
Okay.
But he said I would be too scared of it, so he got me this one.
Okay. All right. Well, we got some new watches. It's fun.
Yeah.
And it's like a really, really nice palate cleanser. It's been pretty heavy on the couch lately.
Well, I decided to put this on because I figured we were going to talk about some things that upset me. So I wanted to look at something on my wrist that would make me smile.
Okay. All right. Let's get to it. So first order of business, let's revisit Watches and Wonders for a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We did get an opportunity to go to Geneva and check some stuff out. And, you know, you were back home kind of receiving everything as it was happening. All these stories hitting. I'm curious, is there anything that either of you changed your mind about? Was there anything that was released where you're like, okay,
Yeah.
talk to me?
I think when we went out to the fair, you seen that the brands really were invested. The build outs were great. My favorite watch from the release was the Eternal Calendar and IWC. And as current events are continuing to roll, IWC is making a big presence, just like
they had the best booth there.
They had the best booth, really big, really spacious. Piaget was a good one as well.
Piaget was good.
Piaget was really good, but I think IWC definitely stole the show.
Yeah.
So I'm still sticking with my Eternal Calendar.
What made IWC the best booth?
They had the best bar.
Yeah.
No, but also, and we took some video, we'll share that during this episode, but they had like this thing that was almost like, it was like walking into, I don't know, like a space hub city or something like that. Like, it was kind of cool. You got to see it. We'll share images of it, but it was designed nicely.
Yes.
It was really open. There was like this water presence that they had, like a little pond and stuff like that. Aesthetically, it was nice.
Yes.
I don't want to say I changed my mind about anything in particular. I think my choice was the Laurent Ferrier Classic Moon. Still beautiful watch. But I will say, having seen the Patek novelties in person, I was very, very impressed with the Ellipse.
Yes.
On bracelet. I got to try it on. The thing was very nice. Unfortunately, they didn't let us take pictures or video while trying it on.
Yeah.
But that thing was luxe.
Yeah.
My only complaint about it is, especially after recently handling a vintage Ellipse, I do prefer the case size a little smaller.
Yeah.
But, if that was in my ballpark and I had the opportunity to pick it up, I wouldn't bat an eye. I would grab that watch.
Yeah.
I thought it was the star of the show.
For sure.
I think your choice was you went with the mono pusher.
Yeah. So if I'm gonna change my mind about anything, I think the watch is too big, which I mean, I kind of said that in the beginning, but I still think that was the best drop.
I think it was really good, and we did get to see that in person as well.
You tried it on too?
I didn't get to try it on. So the day that we went, that we really went, because we were doing a lot of running around. We were only there for 3 days. Was the public days. And they didn't really let anyone handle watches. But what I will say is Cartier's booth in particular was very considerate of all of the traffic. And so the way it was designed outside of where you would walk into, they had all of the watches on display. So you could kind of get really close, take pictures, look at it, take video, whatever. And that was nice. And the watches, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful in person. Sure. All right, so that was Watches and Wonders. I will say, though, I do stand by being disappointed with Rolex.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we went to, and it just hit me before we was about to move to the next subject, but I feel like we should talk about this. So the Rolex booth was fantastic.
It was really good.
It was super cool. They had this whole thing on the GMT, and it was like a little museum that they did, and it was awesome. But I saw the new watch in person, whatever you want to call it.
Bruce Wayne.
Some people are calling it
Not
the
the Bruce
Shadow,
Wayne. None of that.
the Bruce Wayne.
Nope. The perfect nickname is the Dark Knight GMT.
Whatever.
It is. It's the best one. And no one calls it that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm over it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. But it's crazy, though. We were talking about this in the bungalow. Like, everyone thought that Coke was going to come out. And, like, we were all hype on it. We were like, yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's the year. Yeah. And we were so stupid.
Yeah.
Because last year, they dropped the same bezel in steel
right.
and yellow gold.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they come out with it
in steel.
Oyster steel?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like, it was so obvious that was going to be the move.
It was.
We all overlooked it.
Yeah. Well, I think I could see, I definitely think they're going to shuffle it up again next year. We'll see what happens. We do know, and we talked about it on the Watches and Wonders episode on IG Live, there is a Coke.
Yep, off catalog.
I still haven't seen anyone share an image of it. There have been mock-ups. Maybe we'll get the green light for this episode. Who knows? And you'll see it right here. But, yeah, disappointing.
Yeah.
They had some great chocolates.
Yes.
For the people waiting
they do
long.
good chocolate.
Rolex chocolate was fantastic. We left with a little swag bag with some books and everything. And
yeah.
But, we had a good time. So
we did.
Moving along, So there have been a number of releases around F1. Not all were F1 releases, but I'd like to get into it. I think the first one that I don't think it caught most people by surprise. I actually got to see this watch at Wind Up Watch Fair last year, but Christopher Ward London released a skeletonized 12.
Yes.
Titanium. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
No?
Nah.
I think it's hot.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Skeletonized watches don't really impress me, if I'm being honest.
Sure, that's a thing. But, I think going back to, what they did, the success that they found with the Belcanto, I think this is a nice, another release for them in terms of keeping up with that. The cool thing about the Belcanto was it appealed to people who were also not, heavy Christopher Ward London fans. So it got to introduce them to the brand because it was like, hey, here's just a really great watch. There's no branding.
Yeah.
It's all about design.
Yeah.
And when the 12 released with the dial, different dial variants, we're fans.
Yeah, I mean, I got one on order.
Oh, respect. What color?
Yeah, the orange one.
Nice. It's a hot watch.
It is.
And at that price point, can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Titanium skeletonized watch?
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
Yeah. I think it was cool too to kind of the words you use, Perry, is like cleansing the palate. I think they, had doubled down on the Belcanto, and there were a lot of releases, limited editions. I was able to see a Phoenix in person because I know you're still waiting on one. Really, really cool watch. There's only 100 released. So
it's a limited edition?
Yes, I believe so. Right? It's
Which
about
one, Phoenix?
the Phoenix.
Yeah, the Phoenix.
the Phoenix.
Belcanto
The
is,
Phoenix,
Yeah,
Yes,
not
this
this
skeleton.
titanium
though,
skeleton.
Titanium skeleton is
99 of the Phoenix to be exact. Sorry.
yes. So it is available. And I think Christopher Ward London is doing their best to make pieces available.
I'm glad you said that because I think that's probably the biggest issue for them right now, right? Is everyone wants the Belcanto. They haven't stopped taking orders, but you're in queue, and that queue line is long.
Pretty long.
But here's something else that you can get excited about, and you can get almost immediately.
I think that's part of the reason why they would drop a skeleton at this time, too. It's like, hey, by the way, we make other shit.
Yes.
Look at it.
Yeah.
So I think the momentum with the Belcanto is just going to shift to the skeletonized one, and they'll probably take off soon. Especially, they do such fun, interesting stuff. I can only see them doing like galvanized, skeletonized, like
Yeah, I think
work
you'll
dials,
definitely
change
see some more
colors on
interesting stuff.
Yeah.
This watch has interesting movement that they've used. I think it's also the 10th anniversary of this particular movement, the SH21, 120 hour power reserve.
Yeah.
The watch retails for $48.65. It's also COSC certified.
Yes.
So you get a reliable watch that's aesthetically pleasing. It's interesting enough. People are going to ask what it is. You can talk about the history. You can talk about the anniversary. You can talk about the brand.
Yeah.
This is like, it's a great piece for any collector,
Yeah.
no matter what stage you're at. I think they hit it out of the park again.
Yeah.
So next up, we had some F1 releases. Our friends at Moser.
Yes.
A lot of streamliners coming at us at the beginning of this turnaround year. So they gave us the skeletonized streamliner at Watches and Wonders.
Yep.
We just got 2 new streamliners, cylindrical tourbillons, one in pink and one in blue.
The pink is fire.
I thought I had a feeling you would
dope.
like that.
Pink is
fire.
It's a dope piece.
Yeah.
It's a dope piece. They are, I think there's 20 units of each color, $97K.
I like that the dials are like translucent, kind of.
I thought that was a nice touch.
They look so good.
Yeah, it's like it's a sapphire, I think.
Yeah, even the blue is nice. Not
It's
for
very
me, but
nice.
it's nice.
Yeah.
Nice touch putting on the strap. Now the cylindrical tourbillon piece was originally in the Endeavor case.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. That retails for about $87,000.
I want to see them do more with that line.
I think they could do a lot more.
Yeah.
And but it's what's cool about what Moser does, or what they did, especially with this piece, is like, it's almost like taking your greatest hits and like remixing it. Because that cylindrical turb piece, that was a piece that won at GPHG.
Yeah.
Right? So it's an award-winning piece. If you've ever seen one in person, it's a beautiful watch.
Stunning.
It's probably my favorite watch in their entire line.
Mm-hmm.
And then to take that aesthetic and then to marry it with the Streamliner, I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Price is crazy, but listen, the quality is there. We've handled their watches.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
Yeah. I think it was one of the best F1 inspired pieces. Like, it was executed right.
I would agree with that.
You know, the flamingo pink and then that kind of like teal turquoise bluish green, which kind of reminds me of like the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Out of all of the colorways that we've seen from F1 releases, that one I think was executed like to the T.
Yeah, that's like, if you see someone wearing that watch, you think, oh, like, that's from Miami F1. You just know.
100%.
There's an event tying into it.
There is. So continuing on the F1 theme, there was another cool watch company that came out and said, we want a piece of this colorful action too.
Yes.
A favorite of ours.
Yes.
Shout out to Tudor
Yes.
with the black ceramic chameleon dial.
Probably the ugliest watch of F1.
I loved it.
No, nothing
thought it was
chameleon
fun.
about it. Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
No.
I thought it was great.
No, not only did Tudor let me down with the dial choice, but Red Bull let me down with the stupid livery on the car. There's nothing chameleon about it.
There isn't. So if anything, it's a little more like
It's rainbow.
it's rainbow.
And
It's like
that's fine, but
rainbow,
don't call it
iridescent.
chameleon.
That's not iridescent.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
you know, the color doesn't change.
The
It's just all
dial,
there.
the dial almost like falls flat too. There's like
Yeah.
nothing really.
You know what I
going
love
on to
about
it.
this watch? What it says to me? It screams Grateful Dead.
Yeah, sure.
I love it.
Yeah, trip on acid, take some
Yeah,
shrooms, go
exactly.
to a Dead concert with your matching watch.
But also like the blacks, like so the black ceramic Black Bay, when that thing came out, that was a highly
Yeah,
sought
it was
after
a really
piece.
nice watch.
People were
Mhm.
going crazy for that piece. It's kind of slowed down. Not many people looking for it as much.
Mhm.
But I thought this was like kind of like a nice like
I think if that would have been a 39 millimeter, it would bang.
sure.
More people would be after. I think if all of their watches were 39, more
Yeah.
people would want them.
I'll tell you what though. I am excited. I think regardless whether or not how you feel about this particular piece, I like the fact that Tudor is sticking to their guns about having fun
Yes.
Mhm.
and making like just really cool watches.
Yeah, well, watches and wonders from them is pretty serious. So
It is.
it's nice to see
pretty
something
serious.
totally out the box.
Yeah, and I thought this was like a nice way because this is stuff that like you don't really get to see from. You don't see it from Rolex really at all.
Mhm.
Though they surprised us in the last couple of years with some
Yeah.
stuff, celebration watch and everything like that. I don't know. It was nice to see Tudor participate in F1 in this way.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
it was sort of like an equal like playing field. It seemed like it was like, hey, we want to join in on the fun with the other brands as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of admire that. I thought that was a really nice touch.
My question is though, money no object, and
Mm-hmm.
you had to pick one, and you're at F1, and they're like,
Oh, come
get a
on. It's
watch.
not even a choice.
Would you
I'm
pick the
getting the
Tudor over
Streamliner.
any of the? Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
getting the
for sure.
You
Streamliner.
wouldn't pick it over any of the watches.
No.
I don't think anyone would. That's the
Yeah.
whole
Money
thing.
aside.
Yeah.
97K. Oof.
Yeah.
But it's fun. And I think that that Moser Streamliner, that's a watch I would wear all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it won't be like my race watch. It's
No,
just
no,
a
no, no, no.
great watch.
It is a great watch. Shout out to Moser about that. Tudor did release another watch though too. They released the
That cycling FXZ.
FXD Pelagos Chrono cycling piece, which I
Yeah.
thought was kind of cool.
I sent that to 10 people who I know who cycle pretty heavily.
What'd they say?
Gimmick, not wearing it. on
Really?
point. Yep.
Really?
I didn't feel it was that gimmicky. Also because it's not a limited edition piece,
hmm
right? This is going to be in the line.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Red Bull Chrono,
Mm-hmm.
that's still a hot watch.
Yeah, but how many
Alandi.
of those we seen around?
That's what I'm saying.
And how
Yeah.
many of these cycling ones we gonna see around?
I think you're going to see a lot of these as opposed to the Red Bull. I think this is another way of similar to what we saw Christopher Ward London, the brand saying, okay, that's a hot piece. It's a little difficult to get, but we want you guys wearing Pelagos FXD Chronos.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
I
And
like the colors on it, black
Yeah,
and
the
red.
colors. I
thought it was
Obviously,
fire.
that's a no-brainer.
It muted the watch a bit because the first Alandi colorway, of course, it did channel like the Red Bull theme, but it might have been much for a few collectors where they'd be like, you know what, I like it, but it may not be for me.
sure.
Very similar to the other F1 piece that they did, the black ceramic. They also did a blue dial.
Yep.
which is it Daniel Ricciardo, yes, Daniel Ricciardo. He was wearing as well. That watch is pretty cool. Like I like the
Is that
idea.
gonna be for sale though, or is that just for him?
I think it might have been just for him, but I like that they, put that out there as well. It's like, okay, this is fun, but this is a little bit more serious.
Mm. I mean, they're having a lot of fun this year too, though.
Yes.
If you think about it, right?
Yes.
Like this watch that they just did for F1,
Mm-hmm.
they gave us the pink dial Chrono, fire.
Yeah.
You got this piece. I'm curious to see, and this is in terms of the calendar year for watches, we're still at the very beginning.
Very beginning.
There's a lot of time left. So things are going to get really interesting. Geneva Watch Days is coming up. And then there's more. And, Tudor is a brand that continues to pump us with new releases throughout the year. They kind of run on their own schedule. And it's interesting to see Rolex kind of follow that, right? So I'm expecting to see some other releases throughout the year from Rolex as well, post Watches and Wonders.
Yeah.
All right. Elephant in the room.
Yes.
You're wearing a Tag Heuer F1.
Yes.
We had a big release this weekend.
Yeah.
Big announcement. I think they were just released on Monday for the Kith Tag Heuer F1 watches.
Yes.
Before we get into the obvious issue that everyone has,
Yes.
what was your initial reaction to the release? Let's start with Sean.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had shared this. I think I like just like a little snippet in the bungalow. Shout out to the bungalow. And I had talked to a few people outside of our chat, and I think theoretically it makes sense.
Okay.
Execution wise, could have been better.
What about the execution didn't you like?
So what I didn't like about the execution, it was very, very obvious. Like the writing was on the wall. They did like a Hodinky talking watches.
That's one of my biggest beefs with all this.
So they did the talking watches with Ronnie, which like, okay, that's fine. That's great. Like we get it. But then he shows all these tags and we're like, oh man, this might be great. And then next, it's like a product releases.
But if you watch that video, he kind of, there was like a little Easter egg slip.
Yes, he did. Yes,
which
he did.
made everyone kind of think like, oh, there's a collab coming.
Yes.
What did you say?
He said something to the effect of, it was like he was talking about his release, he was talking about his watches on the table, and then he said something like, oh, I'm excited for this release. It was like something this release.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what release?
Exactly.
And someone did mention the bungalow that they heard it too.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, I think there's a Tag Kith collab coming.
Yeah. So in that, right? Because, for the insiders and those that are a part of that culture, they know that everyone knows that there's a mutual benefit across the board for everyone.
Sure.
From top to bottom, if you kind of dissect or separate your food a bit. And so I was like, okay, this is a mutual benefit for everyone, but the thought about the consumer just really wasn't there. Price point, the rollout, just how abrupt it was. This is something that people have been begging for because, of course, the F1 tag, the F1 tags that are currently available are huge.
Sure.
They're like 40 millimeters, 42 millimeters. They do chronos. They do all these things.
Ugly.
Yeah.
which they are great. So for them to go ahead and do this, it's like, okay, like if you do it right.
Sure.
And I think there was just a few marks that they missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to further your point on the if you know comment, a lot of people knew that F1 watch is probably going to make a comeback. So I think seeing it in this way kind of deflated the excitement for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ronnie's Talking Watches episode was total fabrication now after seeing this. Just a marketing ploy that you have all these amazing vintage Tag F1 watches in like pristine condition that you probably bought 2
They
weeks
were a
before
little
you
too
filmed
pristine,
in like from
I'm
like
being
some guy in
honest.
Japan who had a set of them and just never touched them.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I'm doing this episode for push this
That
thing.
seemed like a quick
And me-
buy.
Yes. So that's one problem that I had with it personally, especially with the whole episode. It kind of just made it seem like it was a marketing ploy instead of a legitimate collector talking to
So,
about what they got.
If we're gonna put our tinfoil hats on,
Yes.
Conspiracy Perry.
go for it. I'll say this, and there was someone in the bungalow that brought this up. Before I get into this, let me just say I like the watches.
Yes.
Sure.
I think they look cool.
Mhm.
My favorite one is the version of that you have
Is that not the
with the
Miami
cream
one?
dial. No, the Miami one is all sand.
All right.
All like tan.
Isn't that, yeah, so that's
On the
another
rubber
beef
strap.
I got. The colors make no sense for the cities.
Yeah,
The colors make no sense for the cities, and how you get the watches is not really clear.
None of it was clear.
So Tag boutiques only sell 3 watches.
Mhm.
They sell the newer version of what Rashawn is wearing with the cream dial.
All the ones on the bracelet.
Yeah, no, they don't sell all the ones in the bracelet. That's what I'm about to get into.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because now I got a story to tell y'all about.
Okay.
Oh boy, my experience at the Tag boutique. So, Tag sells 3 watches: the red and black on the bracelet, which Kith and Tag sell
Yes.
together. That's also the one that they produce the most numbers of.
Yes.
Tag also sells a blue one and a green one on rubber or on plastic. The all plastic blue and green.
Okay, yes, the
You
plastic
can
strap.
only buy at Tag. So you can buy those 3 watches at Tag.
Okay.
Kith sells 5 of them, including the one that they share. So that's 8 total watches.
Right.
The box has 10. What they don't make clear is that you can only get 2 of them in the box. And that's the blue on steel bracelet and the green on steel bracelet only come in the box. And they don't tell you that anywhere.
This is all very confusing.
I figured that out when I was at the Tag boutique helping a friend get 2 watches for his 2 sons. And I'm in there for 2.5 hours because, first of all, they have the watches there for you to see, the 3 that they
Sure.
sell. And then they're like, oh, okay, you can see them, but you can't try it on because we're showing this to people. It's basically a pre-order. We don't want to get messed up. Fine, I won't try the watch on. He's like, if you want, you can hold it, though. Just please don't put it on your wrist. Don't open the clasp. So I'm holding the watch. His manager comes out the back, starts screaming at him while I'm sitting at a table with this dude.
Wow.
So terrible customer experience already. Yeah, it was just crazy. The whole thing was a shit show because there was no clear communication on how you even get the watch. I thought I was walking out with it. I didn't know what the whole deal was.
It was all very confusing. And then we do know some people in Miami that
Who actually got the watch
walk
same
out
day.
with them.
And it wasn't clear if that was only a thing in Miami. Like, no one knew.
Yeah,
People
it
walked
was
into all the
weird.
Tag boutiques trying to get them because they saw people were wearing them.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the cream dial one.
Yes, that's a good one.
The Paris one, I
Which
like.
one's Paris? Blue?
The green bezel.
See, why is Paris green? It should be blue.
Well, his thing was because there's when you walk into the Paris store, they have like this green wall or something.
Mm-hmm.
There were apparently little nods to some of the stores in some of them.
Mhm.
There's a video that he released where he kind of explains it.
Is
but
it Easter eggs based on the locations he has stores in, or like
I think it's
monuments or
kind of
something
all.
for the
It's like
city?
just a mix of everything. Like
Mhm.
so, like the Miami one was inspired by the sandy beaches of Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Sure.
what they, you know what I'm saying? So it was like they,
of course, there's some
you
Grand
know,
Seiko-ish vibes over there.
There's some real storytelling going on.
Yeah.
Here. Now, cool watches.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
price,
Absurd.
Yeah.
$1,500 for this thing
Yeah.
is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But here's where I'm going. We know LVMH has invested in Hodinkee,
Yes.
right? LVMH owns Tag Heuer.
Yes.
I think LVMH and Kith are in talks about an acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
And this was some kind of stress test.
Yeah.
Let's see how powerful the brand is. We're going to do this F1 release with you. Makes sense,
Yes.
right? With Ronnie's story. I've met Ronnie before and spoken to him. He's an F1 Tag Heuer fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
First time I met him, he wouldn't stop talking about those watches. You could see the passion in his eyes. Dead serious.
Mm.
So the authenticity is there.
Yes.
I respect it. But I think that there's a greater announcement coming in terms of an acquisition. And that's where the Hodinkee thing comes into play too. I don't know this for a fact. I haven't spoken to anyone there about this. I haven't spoken to anyone at Kith about this. But all signs kind of point to the same thing.
Yeah.
This was like, Phil Jackson's triangle offense. We're going to get it together and we're going to dunk the ball. And listen, as far as I heard from yesterday, the watches have sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whether or not we feel any kind of way about it,
To be fair,
it worked.
it probably only says sold out because they gave one to everyone and their mother who was in Miami posting them shits. Like 5, 6, 7 at a time.
So I did hear that most stores only had like 2 or 3 watches to actually sell.
The
per colorway.
Tag Boutique told me that they made 75 boxes, right?
Yes.
Tag Boutiques got 20 globally. The store in the city got 5 that I went to. They didn't tell me the exact number on the watches though.
Yeah, the rest of them
it seemed like they were taking orders on whoever wanted them.
It was VVIP Kith clients. It's just us, bro.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But nonetheless, listen, it worked.
Yeah.
And I think that still speaks to the power of the Kith brand. No matter how they moved it, they moved it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. I do think that there were a number of people that were chasing this watch to see if that they can resell it.
Yeah.
Some of the watches have wound up on eBay already. The price is
Some of them
crazy.
sold already for double.
Really? Like sold for double?
Yeah, the one that they both share, the red one, has sold for double already.
Wow.
It's crazy.
A little more
you
than
spent
double.
$3,000 on that watch.
The watches are cool, just like, damn, I'd wear one for sure. I'd wear the red one, I'd wear the Miami one. I like those a lot.
$3,000 for
$1,500
that's
retail
wild.
is absurd.
Yeah.
That's wild.
The watch is plastic.
Well, listen, to the resellers, congrats to you. I hope you make your money.
I ain't gonna knock the hustle.
I'm not gonna knock the hustle.
Could be
I'm
worse.
just not going. I'm not gonna get hustled.
Can't knock the hustle.
Okay. Last piece on the agenda. So I was with a friend yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We went to check out some watches. He shows me a picture of a watch a client of his sent him. That client had a Netflix event just the day before where he was getting roasted.
Facts.
And boy, was he getting roasted. It was actually kind of hard to watch. He wore the watch during that shoot. And as you should know by now, you've probably figured out, it was Tom Brady.
Yes.
And so he shows me the picture because everybody the next day was trying to figure out what watch was it.
Yeah, people were making watches up.
They were making them up.
Crazy.
Yeah, people were making the watches up.
So now the watch ended up leaking.
Yes.
But I did see it a few hours beforehand.
Yes.
And I took a double take. I was like, what is this?
Yes.
And it took me a while to process it because I was like looking at the watch. And I was like, yeah, I kind of looked at it quick. Oh, I've seen that before. And he's like, no, look again. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
The Tom Brady Royal Oak with his name spelled out as the indices.
Oh, gosh.
In diamonds.
And baguettes.
Fire. Good touch, Tom Brady. Horrible decision of watch.
Ooh,
yes.
How do you feel about this piece?
It's ugly.
Yeah. You know what's funny? The mock-ups actually were much better than the actual watch. I had seen like a mock-up of like one with like mixed stones. It was like
did it have his name like spelled out on it?
No, it didn't.
Yeah, see, I don't think a lot of people thought it was like an Arabic dial.
They thought it was Arabic dial. So the coolest thing was, at first I was like, okay, you have like this salmon guilloche with the tourbillon fire. I thought there was blue sapphires and white diamonds.
I think Wrist Your Enthusiast.
That's what I'm looking at because I took a screenshot of that. So yeah,
Yes.
Wrist Enthusiast posted that it was a sapphire bezel
Yes.
with specifically Eastern Arabic numerals.
Yes.
Our friend actually commented on
What's the
that,
difference?
and he was like, you're almost there, but not
Yes.
quite.
So I feel like the mock-ups were better than the watch itself. I would have liked to see maybe something a little bit more creative.
Sure.
From Tom Brady.
I would have liked, I mean, John Major creative conduit. It's not really tasteful.
Well, this was done, in all fairness, this was done before that. I don't think John Mayer's taking credit for this one. This was a parting gift from Francois,
Yes.
apparently. So this was all in the workings and happening before he exited.
Yes.
So I've been told by the friend of ours. I'll say this. I get the idea.
Yeah.
I could see like sitting with Tom Brady and he's like, I want to do it like this.
Yeah.
Then or someone pitching that idea to him, and then you go like,
I think he was.
Yeah, it's kind of fire. It's
I
like
think he
John
was
Schaefer.
Exactly.
I think he was in a room with a bunch of yes men that was like, sure. You're Tom Brady, sure. The Roman numeral 7 at 11 o'clock in Sapphire is terrible.
Yeah, I didn't.
Just put it at the 7.
Yeah, it was.
Put it at the 7.
Yeah.
His name being in it in diamonds, I would have gone Capone style and just done it in the back or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could have been way cooler.
You know what though? Having said all that, because of what it is and who it belongs to, this is a watch that, would be if it wasn't the way it was and it went up at auction years later, it would fetch crazy money.
See, I think the opposite.
You think no?
Yeah, I think it's almost too specific to go for some absurd amount of money at all.
No, I think that adds to it.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he wore it
Mm-hmm.
on this Netflix special, I think the fact that people hate it, because people hate it. Okay, everyone was very vocal about hating on this watch, and then the fact that it has like his name on it,
Piece unique.
I think a collector would want this merely based on like all of that.
I think people gonna want it if they can get it.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna get it at a good price.
Eventually,
I think they're gonna get it at a good price though.
He might hold on to it for a while.
I mean, he should die with that watch on. To be honest,
I think he pulls a Sylvester Stallone.
I hope not.
Sly
getting me tight.
So that's another thing too. Is like with like the Sylvester Stallone, watch going off at going into auction, the 6300 Patek. I think we're starting to see that now.
Celebrities are flipping.
Celebrities are flipping. Celebrities are now attaching themselves to the brands. They want piece uniques or they want things that are very distinct to their collection for it to be known. This is mine. This was mine's. And when you own it, you'll always think of me. So the provenance is there. I think we're in the early stages of brands getting it right. And I think it's good for watch collecting. Yeah. I really, really think it's good for watch collecting. I think that brands are listening. I think they're trying to do it. They just aren't doing it right just yet.
That's an interesting take. I'm curious about the Sylvester Stallone thing.
Yeah, I want the whole story on that.
I have to assume that he doesn't want any more watches from Patek. Because
you also have to assume Patek cares that it's him selling the watch. They sold him the watch sealed.
I think they do because of how this rollout has taken place and the precedent that it sets for other clients and their relationships with celebrity clients. Right? The fact that like it was sold in the plastic.
Sealed.
It was sealed. He played the game. Right? Like he wrote a letter, he went through the process.
He obviously has
seems like his
other
intent
watches.
was to sell it anyway.
Yeah.
Just at some point later on. This was an investment. I'm gonna flip this watch. And I'm curious what Patek does going forward in terms of how they vet celebrity clients.
Yeah.
It's gonna change.
It has to.
Especially for the guys that don't already have the relationships.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg probably has nothing to worry about. But if you're not part of that circle, and it's like you're building a collection, you're trying to get into the Henry Stern agency and speak with the family and appeal to them, through your dealer and say like, yeah, I want like the special stuff. It's gonna be harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what about all the real clients that aren't celebrities that just have the money to spend on this kind of stuff?
Well, I think,
but they want that.
I think that's the point. I think Patek was probably looking at Stallone, and that's why he had to maybe go through extra hoops. As like, okay, he's a real client. Like he's a celebrity, but he's a real client. And so now I can see them looking at celebrities like, are you a real client?
Yeah.
Or are you trying to attach your name to something for like clout?
Yeah.
and a quick payout. But like, does Sylvester Stallone need the money?
That's
I
That's
doubt
the whole
it.
thing. Why
not.
sell it?
I think it's about. I think you're gonna see a lot of guys coming up now. To your point, that want to be the next Paul Newman. They want to be positioned that way.
Yeah.
They want to be the watch collector celebrity guy.
Yeah, but selling your own watch doesn't make it the next Paul
We
Newman.
know that's not
like
the case.
That's like very inauthentic
It's super
to the whole
inauthentic.
thing.
Yeah.
Like you're manufacturing this fake ass story. Like, yo, here's this watch, come buy it. I own it. Who
Crazy.
cares?
Yeah.
It's interesting times. Interesting times. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. There are some other watches from his collection that are also up in this lot. There's a Panerai that he wore in a film.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Stuff
interesting
like that,
looking
I get.
Piaget,
Yeah.
Rolex, Day olive dial. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I would love to see the day go for like.
I think
under
it
MSRP.
started at, it's like listed at 50. It estimates like 50 to 100.
Mm.
At the end of the day, it's just an olive dial day.
That's what I said. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know how many people are going to care that it's Sylvester Stallone's. Maybe if you get the 6300 and then you buy other stuff to build like a Stallone collection,
Yeah.
sure, I understand that. But I think everyone's going for the Patek.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. Thank you guys for connecting with me tonight. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. I miss you guys.
Yes. Yes.
Facts. Starving. What we eating after this?
Let's go to Hot Key.
All right, sure.
Turn up. Respect. Listen, you guys know where to find us. This has been another episode of Wrist Check Podcast. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can check out our .com site, wristcheckpod.com.
Mm-hmm.
We got some more content coming your way,
Yes.
and we'll see you in a few weeks. Deuces.
Peace.